In this video, we're going to be learning how to configure Aero Patient for clinic use. First thing you want to do is select Organization and then People and Places, or if you wish to configure on a clinic-wide basis by adjusting roles, you can do that as well. Selecting the role in which I want to adjust, we're going to search for a session. Here, we want to make a session available to the users, whether it's individual or roles, so that they have access to make these adjustments. The first one is Organization Control Center, Manage Accession Settings. Next one, Organization Preferences Accession Patient. Lastly, Patient Accession. Once we have that set, I'm again going to go to Organization, Preferences, and then I'm going to select Aero Accession. In this case, I'm going to be adjusting the patient. You're going to have a separate window for these preferences, and this is where you're going to do the majority of your configuration. Starting with Setup, we want to ensure that it is enabled, or else your clinic will not be able to use Aero Patient. Moving over to the right-hand side, we have text. A lot of text can be found throughout the landing page of Aero Patient, and this is where we can adjust said text. If we scroll through, you can see the wide host. Any changes you want to make, simply double-click the line, and it'll give you the ability to modify the said text. In this case, acknowledgement message, if I were to double-click, any changes can be made and then saved. Moving over to the right hand side, custom text. Custom text can be included as well. In this case, we have two examples. To modify, you would double click the line, or if you wanted to add more custom text, you can add it using the Add Custom Text button. Pictures. We have one here by default. If you wish to use customs, select the custom, and we can load one either for the left or the right hand side by using the buttons here. You can also adjust the text here. Whatever your clinic wants to do with this, you can customize it. Moving over to the right hand side again, your HTML. So this is your own little mini website located within the portal. You can use it to display any kind of information you want. In this case, we have an example of it displaying clinic hours. If you wish to set any alerts for your patient, add this to alerts and add it. Alerts can be configured. For a full explanation, please refer to your manual. Security. Here we determine these security settings for your patient. Things such as login attempts before they're logged out. In this case, 5. If I want to change it, enter a new value. A standard question for security can be adjusted here, or we can add a new one as well. Other security features can be adjusted here as well. A useful one is requiring acceptance of terms and conditions, referencing the text here before they can use the system for the first time. Templates. This refers to the forms available to the patients within the online portal of Aero. To add a new form, click the white page, and it will direct you to your form templates folder. Selecting a form in question, you can make it available for access to your patients. Other. This will allow you to adjust the question category within Aero Patient. You can add new ones or adjust existing ones. The reminder template. This last tab will allow you to adjust the template which is sent to your patient in the event they forget their password or user ID. Going back to setup. Now that we've configured all the various tabs, you want to adjust the on-the-go profiles located here. The on-the-go profiles will showcase what is available on the landing page for your patients. We have one here by default, which you can adjust, and you can always create new ones as well if the default one does not meet your criteria. We'll touch on that later. To adjust it, we're going to double click. It's going to bring up the majority of the configurations with the landing page as far as functionality. You can turn on or off various functions by double clicking and selecting from a drop down. In this case, for appointments, we'll have them enabled, but maybe I want to adjust the limit on how many my patient can book at once. In this case, I will only want to allow them to have pending 1. You will repeat this enable or disable process for the other functions. It's quite a comprehensive list, and for a detailed explanation on each function, such as problem list, care plans, referrals, prescriptions, etc., please refer to the manual provided to you. So, back to the on-the-go profiles. To create a new one, you would name it New Test. From here, click OK. It's going to bring up the same window that we saw previously when we double-click default. This allows you to customize what kind of preferences you can grant to each patient, some with more functions and some maybe with more limited, just so that your patient can ease into use, for example. Now that we've configured it, there are a few last steps that we need to set before we can get going with Aero Patient. Within Alter Patient, select the patient in which you want to grant Accession or Aero access to. Once we have this open, locate the email. This will be the email in which Aero would contact the patient in the event that they lose their password or username. I want to go down to Internet and ensure that I am allowing my patient to connect. This is also where I would set their username and then a password. You can generate one or use something a little more simple like this. Once changing it, you'll notice that checked off is forced password change. Also, I can reset the acknowledgement message, just in case I need my patient to log in again for the first time. And upon logging in for the first time, it'll force a password change. Once I have that setting configured, the last one I want to address is underneath Maintain, and then Appointments and Rules. So I've configured Aero Patient. I've allowed my patient to have access. Next, I want to decide which physicians will make their appointments available. And then from there, we have to select the specific appointment slot in which a patient can access. Selecting the appointment slot in question, we want to go down and select Permit Aero Accession, and then save. This appointment slot has now been configured where it can be accessed through the Aero Patient. The next video will highlight the workflow related to Aero Patient.